Director Nutting,
Present.
Director LaFontaine,
Here.
Director James,
Here.
Director Blackwood,
Here.
Secretary Sislo here, Treasurer Becker,
Here.
Vice President Gillen,
Here.
President Knobloch.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have approval of the minutes from 1/16/23. Ms. Sislo?
As you can see by the agenda, the minutes were approved by email vote that was completed on January 18th, 2023.
Thank you. Does anyone need to amend the meeting agenda for tonight? Okay, not hearing anyone, now we'll vote then to approve the meeting agenda as presented. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, next is the President's report. You may remember that earlier I wrote about our antiquated computer system that had 5 different programs to cover all the POA responsibilities, for instance, properties, food and beverage services, payroll, maintenance, and recreation, and that none of the programs talked to each other. The result was that normal, everyday administrative functions involved constantly going in and out of various programs. The amount of time wasted was fairly significant. We attempted to solve the problem by moving to a single program that would cover all POA activities. This resulted in mixed results. 4 of the 5 areas are now under one program, and the other programs are actually able to talk to each other. The unresolved area involves food and beverage. So after several attempts, the projected program for food and beverage was not able to provide us all the aspects that we wanted or needed, and the board made a decision to go back to the original food and beverage program. At least now, food and beverage kind of whispers to the other areas. We will continue to try to implement one program to cover all POA areas, but we'll do this working behind the scenes to solve it, since food and beverage operations are a significant part of the POA responsibilities. One problem caused by having to use a separate food and beverage program is that we cannot, and I repeat, we cannot add the 4 $10 gift certificates to individual accounts. The result is that we have to go back to issuing 4 $10 coupons to every property who has paid their dues in full for the year. This also means that we have to physically check to determine whether a member is in good standing or not, so he or she can receive the 15% discount. Since we have about 2,080 properties that have paid their annual dues in full before February 2023, we wanted to implement a system so that when a server looks at your ID card, he or she can immediately know if you paid the annual dues and not have to go and look it up on a computer. We fabricated some unique hole punches so that if you paid your annual dues before February 1st, your card can be punched one time. The result is that your server will not have to look up anything on the computer. If you paid your annual dues in full, just go to the concierge desk in the lobby or at the club or at the actual POA office. The staff will check your name off the list and they'll punch your card. Remember, that's assuming that you paid in full before February the 1st. And the $10 coupons will be given to you at the same time. Thank you for your understanding. Okay, next we have committee reports. Mr. James?
Yes, the Golf and Grounds Committee met on the 9th of February. Greens activities, they continued improvements on number 1 Cardinal and hope to finish it up in the coming week and then move over to the front right side of fairway number 1 on the Pines. And then also they will do deep tying on the tee boxes in March. Golf activities, they hosted the Jack O'Neill Junior Golf Tournament. They've hosted Super Bowl Scramble Sweetheart Tournament. And as of today, I think they had the group from St. Louis in today and tomorrow, which is, they come every year. We also reached an agreement on the scoreboard signs. All 5 slots have been allocated and sold, so hopefully that's in the progress of being completed. The golf instructor gave an update on the online schedule and golf lessons. That will be available on the Diamond Head website 1st of March, and then we will have a campaign through Nancy and post identifying how you go about it and what's available. And also the committee recommend that we put forth a request for action to repair and replace the Cardinal irrigation pump prior to watering season. That's it.
Okay, just one other comment on that. There were 120 golfers that are here from St. Louis today and tomorrow, and they like to enjoy adult beverages. Mr. LaFontaine?
Yes, the Safety Committee met on Wednesday, January 25th of 2023. The Director, Lloyd Ramirez, presented an overview of our current accident and incident reporting system and did a review of our past incidents over the last several years. Since our last meeting, we've entered into a contract, an 18-month contract with Gulf Safety and Risk Compliance Company, and they'll be our OSHA compliant consultants. And they're due here next week on March 1st and 2nd to conduct a mock safety audit. And our next meeting will be in April.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Blackwood?
Yes, the admin committee did meet. We reviewed the status of the employee manual and also the bank deposits and the interest rates we're receiving. Additionally, we went over the new software system. Would like to point out that as part of the new system, there will be tablets at the pools, and those tablets will be utilized to scan people to make sure that they're in good standing. And we also went over the accounts receivable and the past dues that are both in the Justice Court and the Civil Court and the Circuit Court. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Nutting?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Ms. Sislo?
The Recreation Committee met the first part of February, and we were thrilled to have the light poles back in the tennis courts, and everything's functioning well there. We're working on standard policy for group use of the pool as the pool season's coming up. We have lane swimmers, and we have water aerobics and several others that like to use the pool, and we want to have a consistent policy for that. We've had some vandalism on some of the restrooms in East Rec and the other areas, so we've been working with Donna on perhaps getting more cameras to see if we can't keep an eye on what's going on. We too talked about the tablets that are coming at the end of the month so that we can practice and be ready for having the cards scanned for the pools. And then there's been a real increase in pickleball interest and use, and we're looking at scheduling and more use of courts to make that happen.
Thank you. The Futures Committee has not been meeting because we still have this stuff in court, and they told us, the last thing I heard was that they may not even get it into a hearing until 2 years from now. So we do have some depositions and so forth going on right this time. So, okay, Mr. Gillen?
Airport Marina met, and Mary Maples gave us a brief rundown of a fire that an aircraft had at our facility. That none of the POA property was involved, and there was no damage to our property. Same can't be said for the aircraft, though. We talked about several things with the marina. Diane gave us a little brief, said that the last 2 fingers would be in soon, and they have come in and have been installed, and there's only one electrical outlet needs to be hooked up, and that's waiting on parts. There was a discussion about whether there was some pilings under part of the old docks over on the other side of the cabin. And Gary went out the other day when there was a real low tide and verified that there is a piling out there that we'll probably have to look at replacing. It's pretty well eaten through. Diane has gotten with our legal people about a new agreement, a lease agreement for the slips at the marina, and that'll be coming out soon. The areas that we were talking about last meeting that needed filling has been done, and it seems to be holding up well. They're using some of the old asphalt that was taken up when we did the work to the launch. There's a discussion about security cameras, and Adam was going to get with Donna and see if they could get together, and maybe we could get a good deal if we bought a certain number, rather than trying to buy 2 for the recreation, 2 for the marina, 2 here, see how that works. That's all.
Okay, Mr. Becker?
I defer to the chairman of the committees I serve on.
Mr. Ramirez? Or excuse me, Mr. Marthouse?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Mr. Ramirez?
So the Facilities Committee met earlier today. We did meet down at the marina and identified a few things, and one of the things is, we may want to look at cameras for down there. Anyway, those things we'll write up and send out to Greg and Adam.
Is that it? Okay, the next is the general manager's report. Mr. Abity is not here. He's recovering from ankle surgery. He doesn't get around very well right now. We all have the reports, but none of us have had a chance to actually read through them. Do we have any POA members' comments on agenda items?
We do not.
Thank you. Okay, now the regular agenda, we have a motion 2023-4. It's a motion to replace the Cardinal Course irrigation pump for not to exceed $7,000. Someone like to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
Mr. James makes the motion. We need a second.
I'll second that.
That was Dr. Nutting seconds. Mr. James?
Yes, the reason behind this is we've had wear and some damage to the impeller pump, along with other issues which has caused damage to the check valves as well. And the results is we need to change that complete pump controller and wiring for the Cardinal pump. It's going to fail, it's just when. And our concern is that if we don't change it now, and when it's in high usage during the summer and it fails, we could lose the Cardinal or have extreme damage from lack of irrigation. The pump replacement, motors, materials, and labor will not exceed $7,000. I would just make a note, this is part of original infrastructure, and this Cardinal pump is a pump, but we also have the Pine well that has some issues and has been ongoing, so sometimes in the future we may have to address the Pine well, not only pump but the well itself.
When you said that was part of the, I believe you said the original infrastructure,
Yes,
we're saying that's been there 50 years then approximately.
yes.
Okay, anyone else like to make a comment?
Well, only to follow up, Dan Hammond presented this to us, and he says it's not going to work. And of course, as Director James said, the busy season's coming up, and if we get a dry spell, it's just a no-brainer that we need to replace that thing.
Anyone else have a comment or a question? Okay, so now we'll call the question in. The motion to replace the Cardinal Course irrigation pump for not to exceed $7,000. All in agreement, raise your right hand, please. Okay, that was unanimous, so it passes. Do we have any POA members' comments on non-agenda items?
We do not.
Okay, the next meeting is one of those open, well, it's called an open board meeting. It has to be held on Friday, March the 17th, here at City Hall. We want to also thank our policeman who's been working our meetings for, I don't know, as long as I can remember. He's moving on to greener pastures tomorrow, so thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, sir.
Now we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Blackwood